Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Bava Kama daf Chav Gimel. We're going to begin on the second line from the top of Chav Gimel Badala. So we're discussing a machlokas when it comes to the din of Aish, of fire. Does it have the din of arrows? It's like shooting an arrow. It's like your koach, and that's the reason why you're chayiv. Or is it totally on mamoin? Is it because it's something related to your property? So we left off with this question, and based on the Gemara, we saw it said kiseitze eish. In fact, the pasuk says kiseitze eish teitze ma'atzma. It goes out by itself. Yishalom hamaver sabeira. Nonetheless, even though it goes out by itself, this is what I wrote over here for Rabbi Gibber's test. Pasha, we hold like Rav Yochanan, the eish is chitz of its arrows, since even though the flame goes by itself, you're still called mavir, and therefore you're chayiv. So that's how we learn out from there. Shema mina ishim mishum chitzav. That's how that is actually derived. And if we look in the Rashi, I know this is from yesterday's daf, but could I just to remind ourselves, teitzim atzma mashma v'leikul ukma kra. It's not that you lit it, but the fire just went on its own. You lit in your property, and the fire went on its own. It's still considered like you did it. So it's like you did it. What do you mean? It's not you, but it's your koyach, like shooting an arrow in your property and shooting it outward and causing damage, so you're chayiv. So that's what we saw. And then Masnisa decided pasach hachasov beniske mamoina v'sim niske guf v'loimelach ishim mishum chitza. So again, the pasuk begins talking about your property, which is kiseitze eish, which is mashma that it went out by itself. And then it talks about Mniski Gufo, the Karli Mavir. And then it says, like, he made the fire. So why does it say it? Again, it must be because Aish is because of arrows. Omarava. Tashal Abayim. So he presents the following. If you actually hold, as we seemingly have proven, that the whole notion of why you're high by fire is comparable to someone who's shooting arrows. So when it comes to fire, one of the dinim that we saw in the previous parak was if you have something which is tamoin, which is hidden, and the fire burns that item and destroys it, so you're potter. How do we understand this? Look at Rashi. If you shot an arrow, the hizik batamoin, and you broke something or damaged something which was hidden, so we're saying you're not going to be chayav there. But we also learned in this parak, petza tachas patza, l'chayav es hashag kamez v'edes karatzin. Lishnachrina haychetz oil b'taminhu nechnas umazik v'shamati. So another point is that when you shoot an arrow, it's always like tamlin, because it's like coming from another place. Okay, so that shot may not be the strongest. But again, the question is, how could it be that you're potter? Because based on petza tachas patza, you should be chayiv in all circumstances. So Gemara answers v'nichale. It's good. This is the answer. Kigoyin shenafla deleka l'oisa chatzar. Let's say the fire went onto this courtyard, v'nafal gader shol machmas deleka, and then there was a fence that would have protected this property from the fire. It fell down, but it didn't fall down because of the fire. Because in fact, if the fire caused the walls to collapse, Rashi says that's chitzo. That's like arrows. So it's like you knocking down the wall with your kayak and you'd be chayiv. So we're talking about a case where the walls fell down, but was not because of the fire. And then all of a sudden now the flames go, in this new property, v'hezika b'chatzar cheres. The hasam kol le chitzav. There we say that your arrows have stopped. The kol le chitzav, says Rashi, shebeshah shehidlik eish, because when you lit that fire, that is zrikas chetz, like shooting the arrow, loy royal hazi b'chatzar cheres. It wasn't fit to actually do damage. So like if you shoot an arrow and there's this huge wall that would have absorbed the arrow, and then for some reason the wall disappears after you shot it, so you're not going to be responsible, because that was at the time that you did the shooting, the wall was there. And if the wall somehow falls for some other reason, you're going to be putter from arrows, and also you're going to be putter from Aish. Why? Because it's tamoin. That's considered to be like the case which is hidden. So Ihachi nami kol chitzav. 1 second. Why are you telling this only if the item that was destroyed was hidden, even if it's open? Elamandi islay mishum chitzav islay nami mishum amayne. So you're right. The one who says chitzav has to also say that there's an issue of mamayne, that it has to be your property. Says Rashi, sometimes you're right, you won't be chai because of arrows, but you'll still be chai because of mamain. If it's out in the open, so even though it's true, out arrows you should be potter, but because of mamain, that it was your property that did damage, which includes the arrow, which would include the fire, so therefore that's the reason why you're chayiv. If let's say he could have locked it up and he didn't, so this is why he's going to be chayiv mamoin for the end. Says Rashi, "B'terem talvar hadleik," but before you lit the fire, sham hayelo shois v'yachal gaidra. The guy could have built a fence to protect his property, so since he could have, it was already down, but he could have rebuilt it. In fact, he didn't, so therefore you're not going to be chayiv in that case. The hasam shorahu v'lo tafach ba'apei. So it's like it's your ox, but you didn't close the door. Says Rashi, harizek kindness shora ladir, like you brought this ox into this property, v'lo no b'fanav, but you didn't close the door. The Yotzav Hazika went out and did damage. So in that case, like you should have closed the door. He could have built some type of fence to protect yourself. We were saying this whole big machlokas, but the truth is, apparently they don't argue. Well, they do. Because one says that Eish is mamoin and chitzai, and the other one says it's only mamoin. So the nafgamin is going to be in a case where it's an issue of arrows but not mumming. So ikumenayu l'chayvu ba'arba dvarim. What does that mean? Says Rashi, l'mandir mishum chitz of arrows nami mechayvin le im sarf isha yad adam chay ba'arba dvarim. If let's say the fire did damage on a person's hand, so then you would be obligated to pay the other 4 things, namely set nezek sar ripoy v'sheves. Those 4 is an important Rashi. Avo b'boishes lo. You're not going to be chayav to pay for the boishes. Why? Because the Gemara later on says, "Eino chayav al haboishes ad shehei mischavein." Only when you have intention. Avo dal devarim chayav depshiahi dehavi lasukia daita sharuch. Okay, so the other 4 you are chayav. So it's an important thing. It's an important Rashi. And when it says you're chayav, that's referring to everything but boshes. Okay, let's look at question 9. If the whole issue of fire is because of arrows, pater al tamoin. So he said, how could you be pater if, let's say, the wall falls down? Not because of the fire. The kol lechitzav. It's like your arrows stopped. So therefore, for that reason, there would be no issue of chitzav. However, you will be chayav al hagoloi b'chei agavna dehaylo shois ligdor, because there was time to rebuild it. The issue nami mishum amoinoi, and fire is also connected to mamoin. Okay. Let's look at question TA11. Exactly the same question. As we said, in the event that the wall falls down, right? Okay, that's TA11. All right. Where there's, if again in that case you would be potter. Okay, TB 12. Okay, weiter. Actually, maybe there's one more question over here from Rabbi Gibber. Let's see. Umaskana Gemara. Matayam Rinan, the Rav Yochanan Chayav al Eish Davka Mishum Amoinoi. When we be Chayav on Eish Davka? So a fire goes and you could have built a geder, but you didn't. It's likened to your shore, which is unforced, and Chai Mishum Mimoinoi. Make sure I understand that. You're only chayav on fire because of mamoin. So a fire goes out, and you could have built together, but you didn't. It's likened to your shore, which is unfenced, and you're chayav mishum mamoinoi. Okay. Umandir medisriole asher eishai mishum chitzav. Hard to read this. 30 years old. The fire goes and the fence falls, but not because of the fire in your potter if it goes into the next chutzner since it's tamoin. Okay. Difficult questions. Oh, that test wasn't graded, so. Okay. That's what I wrote, at least. Al-Charora Mishalim. Cool. So we're going back, and again, so you have this dog that has this hot biscuit and eats it. You pay Nezek Shalom for that, but it put it down. The question is, did it put it directly on it? Are you chayav on what you put, where it went down, or even the rest of the flames, the rest of the Gedish? Gemara says, Man chayav, who's chayav? Bal Kelev, the owner of the dog. Now, l'chayv nami bal kachela. So, according to this, it says Rashi Masnisin Mahadir Tani al Gadish Mishom Chatzi Nezek. So the question is, why do you pay Chatzi Nezek on the Gadish? Who pays it? The owner of the dog. But maybe it should be the owner of the coals. Says Rashi, Bein Mar Mishim Moino Isilhu, because who's the owner of the gachelas? So he should be because it's Mishim Moino. If it's Mishim Moino, he should be chayav, not the Baal Kelev. And my answer is b'shishimer gechalto. It's where he locked up this coal. In other words, this guy who owns this coal did everything that he was supposed to. And an oinus happened. Somehow the dog got into it. But therefore, the Baal Gacheles is not responsible. So ikashishimer gechalto, if it was very well watched, my boy Kelev Hassam. Like, what's this dog doing over here? Like, how did that happen? The answer is b'shechasar, because the dog dug underneath. And therefore, even though it was properly protected, however, this dog somehow got its way into the property by digging and digging, and therefore it's not the Baal Gacheles' fault. Amra Mori Beredu Rav Kahana Zosameres Stam Dolosos Chaturos Hein Eitzel Kelev. Even doors in which are pretty well locked, when it comes to a dog can dig underneath that door, says Rashi. We don't say that this is unusual behavior. Fine. Now the question is, where did this dog eat this biscuit? Did it eat at someone else's gadish? It wasn't Rosh Hashanah, says Rashi. When it comes to shein to be chayiv nezik shalom, you have to pay only because the animal went into the rishus and nizik. So if you're going to tell me that it ate this thing in the Gadish, Ba'alma, some other place, that's not Bir B'Ste'acher. It's actually the same owner. The one who is the Bal Charara, the one who is the owner of this Charara, this hot biscuit, is also the owner of this Gadish. And therefore the animal went into this property, and therefore that's the reason why you're chayiv, because it's ber b'ste'acher, it was rishus and nizik. So tipshit, why don't we answer from this? The fact that you have to pay for this charara, the pipara, the mouth of the cow, of the mazik, that's eating in the chatzar hanizik, as we continue to chav gimel mabez, kechatzar hanizik dami. So the mouth is considered to be in the chatzar nizik. That's the reason why you're chayiv, because the iba chatzar mazik dami. If you want to tell me that the mouth of the shore is considered to be like in its own, it's in its owner's property. So leimale my ba riftach bapuma de kalboy. What is your bread doing in my dog's mouth? Deboilhu, because actually it was a kasha. Pipara kechatzar hanizik dami kechatzar mazik dami. So v'iyamrit kechatzar mazik dami. If it's actually like it's in the mazik's property, so shein dechav rachman hechem shkachas law. How could you be chayiv when it comes to shein? Because when it's eating, it's ber b'ste'acher. Okay, it's in the rishus and nizik. But the mouth, when it's in the mouth, it's considered like rishus mazik. So then you shouldn't be chayiv because it's not rishus and nizik anymore. It's in the mouth of the animal. So Amar Rav Mari Berei Rav Kahana Kagayin, you can still be chayiv shinis chak b'kaisel hanasa, v'tinva perisel hanasa. When it rubs against the wall for its hana, or it ends up dirtying fruits but for its own hana. So all these are considered to be toldos of shein. So Maskemar Zucher v'habi'inan kasher yivar hagalal atuma v'leika. You need to be able to have situations, Rashi says, the Mekali Karna, that the thing itself was completely destroyed. Now, those cases of just rubbing on them, ruining them a little bit, doesn't destroy them completely. So Ravina Omer, no, the Shaft Salme, let's say you erased a form, says Rashi, Kishin is Kaisel, when it rubs against the wall, Machatsur Sh'ol of the Ika Tumo. There was a form on it and it got ruined by him rubbing on it, so therefore that actually is its destruction. Vashi Omer, the Pasi Pasue. If it totally ruined the fruit, says Rashi, Kishin is Galgal al Pear, so it's rolling on the fruits, Techabtan Batit, the Efsha Lilkatan. It's just filled with mud all over the place, which renders them worthless. So it's interesting. According to this pshat, even if the mouth is considered to be the Rishus HaMazik, which sounds like, which is hard to understand, that means practically the Av of Shein is impossible to be Chayiv. You're only Chayiv by the Toldos of Shein. Because the Av is eating, if it's eating, so in that situation, it's Rishus HaMazik, which is very hard to understand. But that's Pashib Shah, that's how we were reading it. Tashma. Shisabos a Kelev. Let's say a person incites a dog, Shisabos a Nachash, or incites a snake, Potter. In that situation, you're Potter. We'll have to understand what this means. Man Potter. So Mishasa Potter v'chai bal Kelev. So the one who's inciting the dog to get it all riled up, he's Potter, even though the dog ends up, because of him, doing damage. And the reason Rashi says, because the grama benazikin Potter, even though it's true that you cause the damages by inciting the animal, the din is grama benazikin Potter, v'chai bal Kelev. But the reality is this dog did do damage, so the owner of the dog is responsible. Now ask the Gemara, if, let's say, the mouth of this animal is like the rishus of the mazik, you should say, my boy yadach b'puma de kalboy. What's your hand doing in my dog's mouth? How dare you have your chewed up hand in my rabid dog's mouth? Which, of course, is funny language, but the point is that you should be able to say you're potter, right? If this dog does damage, because after all, it's Bershus Hamazik. So Ema potter, Af Mishasa. You're right. You have no choice. Actually, both parties are potter. The one who incited the animal, because Grumba Nazikin potter, and also the owner of the dog. V'boy Seima de Afge Lenive Vesarte. So you have to kind of envision a dog that sticks its teeth out of its mouth and did a biting in that situation. So if you have a dog that is able to move its teeth out of its mouth, if you will, so the mouth that's part of like the digestive system while the food's in the mouth, and therefore when it's in the mouth, when it's chewing, that's for mazik already. However, when it bites, it protrudes its teeth outward to bite, and therefore that's no longer considered Rishus Mazik, which is why it would be chayiv. Okay, let's look at question 10. Shisabos a kelev, masvar the potter mishasa, as we said, because grama benazikin is potter. I have umasvar the potter bal hakelev. The reason why you would potter the bal hakelev is because if you hold that the p paras kachatzer mazik, you can say my boy yadcha b'pulma the cowboy. What is your hand doing in my dog's mouth? Tashma hizich bos anachash. So here you have a snake that is that was engaged in biting. Rabbi Yehuda Machai Macham in Poitin. So there's a machlokus over here. We're going to touch this before actually. Tashma Shisabos Kelev the tema de Milo Mishani in Katala Loy Marina and Kedamrina Masamach. Okay. There may be a difference when it comes to killing. Okay. Hishach Bos Anachash. Yehuda Machai Macham in Poitin. V'Yomarav Achabar Yaakov. Kishatim Suleimer. When we want to break down and understand this machlokus about this snake. What Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, says you're chayiv because Eres Nachash ben Shinav hu oimed, that the actual poison of a snake is literally between its teeth. Lefikach, therefore, since it's in its teeth, makish b'sayif v'nachash potter. So in this situation, says Rashi, the makish gets sayif. The havile ki'ilu hargo b'sayif shaharg mamishu v'loigarim. So it's like you're actually killing this person, and therefore v'nachash potter, and therefore the snake is going to be potter. So this is talking about where a person literally like picked up the snake and pushed the snake on this person. So in this situation, if the poison is bein shinav, so therefore you should be chayim because it's keel like you murdered someone. And the snake is going to be potter because it was impossible for it to do anything other than that. It says Rashi, have hishech bos anachash. Should have seen this Rashi. Shenatos anachash biyado. You pick up a snake, v'gia piv liyad chaver, and you put its mouth to your friend's hand. Until the person died because of his bite. Actually, the snake, when it bites, it on its own shoots out its venom. It's not that it's like on its teeth and like it's automatic. Every time it bites, it will automatically spew venom, and therefore it's not its fault, if you will. And if you put the snake right up the person's face or hand, of course it's going to bite, and the biting automatically has the venom. The Chachamim say no, it's the snake that does it. Which is why we would actually stone the nachash, which we saw this in brachos as well, that when it comes to not just a shor haniskel, it's not just by an ox that kills, but the din is when it comes to other animals as well. The din is the same. We would do skila on the animal. Umakash potter. As we said before, this person is going to be potter because it's considered like it's a grama benazikin. But again, this is not hagrama. So anyway, he's going to be potter. If in fact the pipara is just like the chutzner of the mazik, so lamele, you could say the same question. My boy yadach bapuma techivoi. Why is your hand in my snake's mouth? So again, if it's the snake has this guy's hand in his mouth, so that area is considered rishus hamazik, and therefore he should be potter. The answer is no. Le'inin katol lo amrinan, says Rashi. Harigas nachash. Here we're talking about killing. Lo amrinan, my boy yadach. That svara doesn't work. Even if you want to tell me that the inside of the snake's mouth is like the Rishus HaMazik, Einu Pater, El Neherag, El Inyan Nezikin, I'm reading my boys Rishusi. That din of that svara of pottering is only when it comes to damages. However, it does not apply when it comes to killing. When it comes to killing, the din is the same. So, Menat Tamer, how do we know, Taka, that that's the case? That we make a chiluk. Let's say a person enters in the courtyard of someone else's without permission. And it's the animal that's on this person's property kills the guy. Right? So you trespass on my property and my animal that's on my property killed you. So Hashor b'skilo, b'al paturin. So we say that the ox is killed because the reality is it still did kill someone. However, the Baalim, the owner of that property, the owner of this ox, is putter from having to pay kaifer for that person's death. So we said Ubal Patur min kaifer. Ubal Patur min kaifer in my time. Why? Dermalabor she'll see my boyas. Because you could say you had no business being on my property, and therefore the fact that this guy died, it's unfortunate he died, but the reality is he shouldn't have been trespassing, so therefore I'm not chayav to pay kaifer. So in second, based on that same svara, shorinami ulemule my boys reshusi. You should say the same thing. Why should we kill the shore? And my answer is el inin katol amrinan. We don't care. So just like that snake over here too, even though that person should not have come into my property, the rishus hamazik, or the person's hand was in the snake's mouth, which is the Rishus HaMazik, even if that's the truth, it doesn't make any difference. If that snake killed someone, that snake will be sent, will be put to death, will be killed. Hanu easy debay tarvu. So there were these goats that belonged to, says Rashi, Shem Mishpacha, some family. Dahavi mafsedele Rav Yosef. There was financial losses. Zil you should go to their owners. Delisninhu, that they should protect their goats. They should go and protect your goats. Armalei amayezel, why should I go? Di azilna, if in fact I will go, Armalei, they'll say to me, Ligdor mar gedera that you should build up a fence on your property. So and if I build it, so if that's the case, so then how can you be chayav for shein? Your answer is as we said before, if it digs through. So inami the nafal guda, alternatively the nafal guda belayla, or let's say the wall fell at night, which means it was something which was beyond your control. So if it happens in the middle of the night and then the damage took place at night, you're not going to be held accountable. Similarly, if a dog bores and digs in there, in that situation, it's you did everything on your part, and therefore you should not be held accountable. Makas Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef announced, Vitemo Rabba, the Salkin L'Ela, those who are going upward, ude nachtin l'tachta, and those who are going downward, hani easy, these goats, the shuka demafsede, if they are destroying things, masrinan b'maraihu, trade tlasa zimni. We're going to warn the owners of what's going on with these goats 2 or 3 times. Eat sayas. If they pay attention and listen to us, good. V'lo, but if they don't pay attention, amrinin leitiv schachta v'kabel zuzach. I'll say, go to your butchery and receive your zuz. Says Rashi, makam maimed haktsavim, where the butchers are. Tekabel zuzach. Now, if it'll be yoyma delav deshuka, even if it's a day in which there's no market, shachalahu, you should shach these animals, hoyav l'shchita kayamin, because they are standing to be shechted. Okay, we're going to stop there. We have a new Mishnah. Let's see maybe another question or two. All right, we saw question 10. Let's see if Rabbi Gibber has another question for us. Iamrinan pi para krishus hamazik dami oz shein dechayv rachmana hechem shkachasla. How do you find? How can you be chayiv? So he said if he rubs itself on the walls and does damage as it wipes it off, or it tramples upon fruits, and then the whole thing is completely impossible to be repaired. But ma nechu Rabbi Yehuda v'chachamim le'inin hashor hishach bo asanachash ima adam chayiv misa. So the poison of a snake is on its teeth and always kills, or it spits it out, and the snake has the option to kill. Hanichnas l'chatzer shel baal bayis shel b'rshus. You go into your friend's property. V'nachu shor shel baal bayis, and the other animal kills. Ha'im hashor yisakel. Yes, the animal's killed. Him yesh chiv kaifer. No, you do not have to pay kofar in that situation. Okay, let's now look at a couple more questions. TA 12, that's going to be in tomorrow's daf. Question TB 12. This we do have. Iboiluhu. Pi par kechatzer nizik dami kechatzer mazik. Ma nifshat bi boyazu mehecha nifshat. So what? How do we answer this question? And how did we end up answering it? So this brings us over here. V'lekel, we said lo tzricha de'ocha begodish debal charara. We're talking about a situation, TB12, where the dog ate the charara, and the charara and the gadish belong to the same owner. So we can see from here that pipara is kechatzer hanizik. It has to be like kechatzer nizik, because if it was kechatzer mazik, then you should be able to say, my boy riftach b'pum b'dikalbi, right? What is this dog's? What is the bread doing in the mouth of my dog? So therefore, obviously, it's a raya that we hold that it's kechatzer hamaz. It would be chatzer hanizik, and that's why you can potentially be chayiv. Let's see what I wrote over here. Kechatzer hanizik. De'im lo kain kasher hakelev o nachash noshach es adam yochel omer loma yodcha lechem b'toch hapeh shel habehema shali. Ad kan.